A cable, 2,500 kilometers long, rests 2,000 meters beneath the Baltic Sea. It links Lithuania to Sweden. In November 2024, this cable was damaged. Authorities speak of an accident. But a line within the internal documents of Cinia Oy, the owning company, raises a problem. This cable, the BCS East-West Interlink, carried classified NATO data. No official statement mentions why the CEO, Ari Jussi Napila, refused to comment on the lost data. The first submarine cable dates back to 1850. It connected Great Britain and France. 3 years later, the British government already used it to intercept diplomatic telegrams. From the start, the cable was not just a pipe. It was a target. In 1946, a secret agreement was signed between the United States and the United Kingdom, the ECHELON Agreement. This document organized the global sharing of intercepted intelligence. 25 years later, this network became ECHELON. Officially, it was a communications protection system. In reality, it was a program capable of absorbing all data passing through the undersea cables. The archives of the Church Committee, declassified in 1975, show that the NSA and its allies were already listening to the transatlantic cables. But in 2013, an NSA contractor named Edward Snowden revealed the system's scope. Classified documents show the agency intercepted massive amounts of data from the undersea cables. A program named MUSCULAR pirates the links between Google and Yahoo data centers. The cables are no longer passive infrastructure. They become a tool for global surveillance. What remains unsettling is the emergence of a new type of incident in 2024. These are no longer interceptions. These are destructions. In November 2024, 2 submarine cables were damaged in the Baltic Sea within days. The BCS East-West Interlink, running between Lithuania and Sweden, was one. Another cable runs between Sweden and Germany. The official version cites accidentally dragged anchors. But an internal service note from Cinia Oy, dated November 19, 2024, reveals an anomaly. The cable's security systems recorded coordinated maneuvers by multiple vessels in the area, the day before the rupture. This note, obtained by independent researchers, never appeared in public reports. In January 2025, a vessel named Vezon was identified as suspect. Swedish authorities concluded it was an accident. Yet, telecommunications company executives and security experts publicly expressed doubt. The CEO of Cinia states the cable transported sensitive government data. But he refuses to specify what that data was. The archives of NATO, partially declassified in 2023, indicate that the alliance views undersea cables as vulnerable critical infrastructure. A 2022 report explicitly mentioned the risk of hybrid warfare utilizing cable sabotage. No one asked why preparation for this risk was classified. The question shifts. If the cables are a target, they are also a means. Surveillance programs like ECHELON and MUSCULAR proved interception was possible. But the 2024 to 2025 incidents suggest an escalation. It is no longer about listening. It is about destruction. What has never been explained is the link between these sabotages and the information war in Ukraine. The Baltic cables connect NATO nations to the Baltic states. What if the destruction was not an act of war, but an attempt to obscure the surveillance trail? Until now, one could believe that submarine cables were neutral infrastructure. They were dedicated only to civilian communications. But one line in the report from the Swedish Maritime Administration regarding the Vezon incident raises a problem. The report, published in March 2025, admits that the vessel dragged its anchor over a distance of 1,200 kilometers. This distance is implausible for an accident. Yet, the conclusion remains unchanged: accident. The NATO files, however, indicate that cable surveillance exercises were conducted in the area 2 weeks before the incident. Coincidence? The archives offer no such comfort. What remains unexplained is why the Swedish authorities, despite being NATO allies, closed the investigation so quickly. And what if the answer is not in what was broken, but in what was passing through the cable at the moment of rupture? What if what we are seeing is not an anomaly, but a pattern? The declassified files from the CIA liaison office with the Pentagon, dating from 1947 to 1969, reveal a constant. Every time an incident involving aeronautical characteristics exceeds known capabilities, the file is transferred to a division that does not appear in any official organizational chart. Investigators found 6 references to this unit in the Rockefeller Commission archives. 6 lines total. 5 of them are redacted. The 6th line mentions a cross-functional group for the study of exotic materials. No roster of members exists. What remains unexplained is why the National Archives catalogued these documents not under defense, but under scientific research and development. This classification grants a higher level of confidentiality. If the documents are complete, then a branch of the U.S. government exists today. Its legal existence is known only through these fragments. This branch is not the only one. The archives of the Pegasus program, whose full name remains classified, contain transfer logs to this same group. This is not coincidence. This is infrastructure. On September 28, 2023, the Inspector General of the Department of Defense published an 18-page report. This document, in response to a congressional action, lists programs accessed by private contractors between 2015 and 2022. In a footnote on page 14, paragraph C, it references a program for the acquisition and reverse engineering of non-human artifacts. The language is clinical. But the source is official. The footnote cites an internal protocol from 2011. That protocol itself was based on a presidential executive order from 1954. What this note means is that the U.S. government admits, in a signed legal document, the existence of a technology recovery program. They cannot, or will not, identify its origin. Mainstream media ignored this. The Congressional Archives confirmed that the National Security Subcommittee received a redacted version of this report. The names of subcontractors were removed. The locations of the sites were erased. Line 14 of paragraph 7, the line linking to the cross-functional group, was struck out before publication. What remains visible is a date. September 8, 2025. The first public hearing scheduled since 1978. The file is open. The questions multiply. Who controls this group today? Who authorized the destruction of the original 1969 archives, of which only a carbon copy exists in CIA storage? And most importantly, why did the documents declassified in 2025 arrive with a handwritten note in the upper right corner, stamped, PVT, Committee? This program is officially closed. What replaced it is the next phase, the eradication protocols. And if the real question is not what is hidden, but why now, after 70 years of silence, these lines are finally visible,